How's it going, Star Seekers? My name's Gotcake, and in this review we're going to be taking a look at Dongo Adventure, an action platformer where you play as a mouse called Dongo and have to make your way through 5 themed levels filled with hazardous environments and all manner of dangerous creatures. So hitting the main menu we see things are looking pretty simple here, and I usually don't judge a book by its cover, but in the case of Dongo I definitely did. Taking a look at the how to play menu, we just get an image illustrating the game's simple controls. There's no options menu in the game, so we're stuck listening to the in-game music, and can't adjust the sound effects volume, so instead let's jump into the game. After selecting play game we get to the map showing the game's 5 levels, the first of which is everyone's favourite, the sewers. So as we begin this first stage, your impressions, like mine, will likely be that the game's graphics look pretty poor, and look like they come straight from the PlayStation 1 era of gaming. As we get started moving around, we use our left analog to move, we can jump with the B button, and run a little faster by holding the Y button. In the top left we see our life represented by hearts, and taking damage removes 1 heart. Losing all 3 will send us back to the beginning of the stage, unless we've reached the level's checkpoint, which usually appears about halfway through. Below our health we can see the cheese ammo, which we can collect more of in level, and we can throw cheeses at enemies by pressing A. Finally, below our cheese ammo, we see a coin, which actually represents how many lives we've got, but makes absolutely no sense. The number 10 doesn't mean we have 10 lives, as it drops to 5 when we die. And we can collect additional coins in levels, which puts it back up to 10, so God knows how it works. All that you really need to know is that when it reaches 0, dying will kick you out of the level back to the map. You'll also lose your checkpoint and have to start the level from the beginning again. So as you progress through each of the game's levels, you'll encounter a lot of shit that wants to kill you. There are environmental hazards such as green gas spurting out from pipes, green electric spurting out from wires, diggers going apeshit, and cars. There are also a ton of enemies out to get you, including many types of bugs, both flying and ground based, eagles, and fish. Now your only objective in the game is to survive this gauntlet of hostility and reach the end of the level. After which, Dongo will do a bit of a celebration jump and you'll be sent back to the map to select the next level. Now you might think that Dongo looks a bit like a kid's game, and so beating its level shouldn't be much of a challenge. But think again, because it's fucking solid. The main reason for its difficulty has nothing to do with the number of enemies, or even really the level layouts and environmental hazards. No, it's primarily down to the game's controls, collision detection, and Dongo's hitbox. As you make your way through the first level, you'll find out just how poorly these things are implemented. You constantly get stuck on edges of walls and pipes and stand there like a moron pushing them. Dongo gets damaged by environmental hazards when you're nowhere near them. And it's often difficult to even tell what parts of the level you can actually land on. Take this for example, where I assumed I could jump onto the pipe, but no. This has no collision box, so I just drown instead. In fact, I'm actually supposed to take a leap of faith and land where this cheese is off to the right, but there's no way of actually moving the camera downward to see this. Issues with surface collision really start to become an issue in the second stage, where we encounter a water section right away. Here we have to bounce off these bugs' heads and land on the tyres, but it's easier said than done, and Dongo just keeps slipping off the tyres into the water. The game's also got a few bugs, such as this one where I somehow ended up pushing the hat that I was supposed to be floating on, but instead it just decides to fall through the water. Now words and visuals alone don't really do justice to how Dongo feels to play, but I think I've covered enough to give you an idea of what to expect should you decide to buy the game. So now I'll just provide a list of features that summarises my gameplay experience with Dongo. Starting with the visuals, I felt that they actually looked worse than many PlayStation 1 games. The music got annoying relatively quickly, but as mentioned before it can't be muted, and I found the choice of music in the second level of the game very odd. The game's sound effects are way too loud, which is especially revolting with the flying enemies when you're wearing headphones, as it feels like they're nesting right inside your earlobes. Several stages have blind jumps, and terrible collision detection can be found throughout most levels, which also often leaves you wondering which surfaces are actually tangible. And finally, bad hitboxes are a major issue in Dongo, and so many of my deaths just felt cheap and unwarranted. So, is there anything good to say about the game? Well, although it says on the eShop listing that it was published and developed by Cubite Interactive, it was actually developed by 2 young brothers from Brazil, So considering this is the first game, I actually have to say that they did a good job, as the game, despite all of its flaws, is still very much playable. Is it up to the standard of what you'd expect from a modern Switch game? No. Is it a great game? No. But they tried something ambitious, and what I can say is that it's more of a game than some of the other shite that I've reviewed in the past few months. I would advise though that they try something a little simpler for the next game, and put much more of a focus on the quality of the gameplay mechanics. So now we come to rating the game. Now I rate games between 1 and 5 stars, with a shovelware stamp of approval reserved for the worst games on the eShop. This rating is based on my own personal opinion on what a game has to offer in terms of gameplay and value for money to potential buyers. And for a rating I'd give Dongo Adventure 1 out of 5 stars. The game has a whole host of problems which really degrade any fun it has to offer, but at the same time it's an ambitious attempt for a first game, so kudos to the devs. I would in fact recommend buying the game, 1 so you can experience the frustration that I did, but more importantly to support the devs in the hopes that they can up the game and bring a much more polished title second time round. You can get the game from the UK Switch eStore for 89p, or from the US eStore currently discounted to 49 cents. Alternatively, the game's also available on Steam. And that's it for this review of Dongo Adventure. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comments section below. As always, hit that like button, subscribe for future Switch indie game reviews, and jump onto the Starseekers Discord to say hello. For now though, I just want to say thanks once again for watching, and until next time, game on.